is up, freedom fighters? Welcome back to another Break the Chains Media. Today is We Are Change, Wednesday, August the 12th, 2026. We're out here crushing it. We're out here living our best life. Just got done with a nice kettlebell complex and calisthenic workout. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling fired up. Let's go. We are the change we want to see in the world. That is right. That is correct. That is what we are doing. And that is why you are here with me right now. And we're going to be talking about all things Colorado today because we are the change here in the Colorado community. We have to show up, we have to be present, and we've got to do something. We've got to make sure that everything we get accomplished is in for perpetuation of a freer and better state. So with that being said, we are jumping into it because we've got some great news. It's not the best news. It's not the news that I want to hear. It's not the news that I would like to cover. But you know what? I'll take what I can get. But a district judge just ordered Jenna Griswold to hand over documents relating to some public records requests. And, you know, I wish it was going to be the election, the voter data and stuff like that, but that was a federal judge that ruled against the injunctions as far as the DOJ's investigation. But you know what? If Jenna Griswold doesn't turn over this public records request, she could be held in contempt. So there might be a shining light that we have against the Grizz herself, the wicked witch of the election rigging West, right? That is, we all know her, we all love her. Actually, we don't, but you know, it is what it is. So we're going to be talking about some Jenna Griswold stuff here. We are also going to be talking about the NRA and CSSA filing lawsuits against SB3. We knew it was coming. We knew it was going to happen. But we want to make sure that our conversation and our talking points are on the right angle, right? Because while I do applaud this effort and I do see some hope for the 2A community regarding this, it is not the type of scope that I personally would like to see. We want to be looking for a total outright repeal of the SB3 unconstitutional pay-to-play scheme, this permit-to-purchase BS that Colorado has passed last year. So we're going to get into all of that here on Break the Chains Media. But folks, if this is the first time joining us, smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube, be a part of the Chain Gang, be a part of the Chain Breakers here on Break the Chains Media. We do live streams. We cover all kinds of Colorado politics, news, culture, activism, boots on the ground type stuff. Got a lot of good stuff in the works. We're going to be talking in the coming weeks. We got some stuff working on Proposition NN and Proposition 195 and how we have to be objectively against these two bills and these two ballot measures that are going to be going on the ballot in the midterms. So we got some stuff coming on for that. We've got some also stuff in the works regarding Colorado State Medicaid. So stay tuned for your breaking information here on Break the Chains Media, because we need to break the control grid, break the conformity that has put us in this place and the control system that has been put around us. We have to break free from that. That is what it, you know, the colloquial term, right? You got to break them chains, right? Be a part of it. Let's go, dude. But yeah, anyways, you know, you can laugh about it, you can cry about it, you can do all the things, but we are here. You can follow, you can find all the socials, find all the good stuff here on breakthechains.media. That is the website. That is the landing page, breakthechains.media. You got Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube, as well as the Rumble live stream link right here. So tell your friends, anyone who wants to be a part of it, get over here and get involved. Support the channel by checking out Realm Walker Hot Sauce in the upper right corner. Travel the 9 realms of Norse mythology through hot sauce. From mild to extreme heat, you got all the flavors. Travel all the 9 realms. If you are familiar with Norse mythology, there are 9 different realms that you can travel to. You got Asgard, you got Muspelheim, you got Helheim, you got all the different. You know, I don't want to go off on a tangent too much, but each flavor is named after one of the 9 realms. So you could pick up any of your flavors here. Check them all out. Alfheim, Nidavellir, Jotunheim, all the good flavors. Some of these are backordered because they are handmade, home bottled here by yours truly, because I want to bring you the best type of products. Cutting through all that crap, all those product bull malarkey. We don't want to be drinking that. We don't want to be putting that stuff in our body. This is all lacto fermented, very good, high quality hot sauce, great flavor, and support the channel by checking out Realm Walker Hot Sauce on Instagram. And you got the If you haven't yet, here's the X page. You can find me at Break the Chains M. But without further ado, we're jumping right into it. We're going to make it happen. This is going to be a quick, firing line. Bam, 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 bam. We're going to get it done. We're going to make it happen because I want to get the information out to you. But let's check it out, folks. Here we go. Judge orders Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold to turn over public records from CBS News. A Denver District Court judge has given Secretary of State Jenna Griswold until Thursday to comply with an open records request, or she could be held in contempt. Griswold, the records involving the consulting work paid for the public funds, and Griswold office says it doesn't have the documents and it refuses to consult for them, claiming that it would impose an undue burden. Instead, the Secretary of State's office sent 4 employees and the Attorney General's office sent 3 attorneys to court. The consultant was brought in 2 years after Griswold became Secretary of State. The office had become a revolving door. Griswold was on her second deputy secretary, 3rd chief legal counsel, and 4th chief of staff. Wow, that talk about a if people are going to give Trump a bad time for the turnover rate of his administration, let's take a look at Jenna Griswold, right? I mean, come on. The 2nd deputy secretary, 3rd chief of legal counsel, and the 4th chief of staff. Is someone not operating their administration properly? Jenna Griswold, I'm looking at you. Greg, hey, there you go. What's up, Greg? How you doing, my friend? Welcome. Glad you are here. Glad you can make it from the beautiful state of Florida. Wow, I am jealous, Greg. Shout out to Greg. You get that treasure chest. Love you. Appreciate you. Want some more of you. Miss you, buddy. I miss you. Let's keep going here. An invoice in the court records show that the state paid Sage River Consulting nearly $25,000 to conduct a leadership development and make finding conclusions and recommendations. Very interesting. Fudging the numbers here much. Attorney Suzanne Tahiri, who was deputy secretary under Republican Wayne Williams, saw the invoice in the state's transparency portal and asked the office for the consultant reports. We've quote, it felt like that report. Wow, can I just say this? Can I just say this right? Hold on. Let's take a beat. Goose Fraba, we're bringing it down. Quote, we felt like that report is important for the public to know about, and certainly they paid for it. It's quite a bit of money, and they deserve to see it, Tahiri said. Tahiri says the office told her it didn't have anything to show for the money. No recommendations, no conclusions, no nothing, not a single document. You don't say, huh? There's nothing that the Secretary of State can show you? Tahiri didn't buy it, pointing to another invoice showing that the office paid Sage River the same amount of money for strategic planning and consulting that produced a 700-page report. A 700-page report, and there's nothing you can show for it? Folks, this right here is a prime example of one of the ways that the administrations in Colorado, these corrupt positions of power, manipulate and fudge these numbers and throw back to their buddies and their friends and all these other things. We could talk about Ian Salveri and Brittany Pedersen and his Bighorn strategy group or whatever it was called. This is how they do it. They throw thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. We talk about that retreat. Remember that retreat that they took back in the Vale a couple months back? This is what happens in Colorado. They throw our money, our tax dollars, and then they wonder why we are in a budget crisis in Colorado. They throw our tax dollars around and do all this creative accounting, and somehow every single term we're insolvent. We have no way to show for our debt. We can't make enough money here in Colorado. This is a prime example. Former Secretary of State's office employees tell CBS Colorado there are documents. Former Secretary of State's office employees tell CBS Colorado there are documents, but they say Griswold refused to take custody of them because they're highly critical of her and she didn't want the information subject to open records requests. Oh, you don't say. Griswold's the untouchable, the infallible, the anointed queen of the West. Secretary of State. She's she cannot be faltered. She is the leading legend that is the Secretary of State office, Jenna Griswold. She cannot be held to criticism. BS. Tahiri says she asked the office to call the consultant for the documents and it refused to do so as well. our position is that if you pay for it, even if you store it at a vendor and you don't get it back, it's still in your control, and that's what the case law says in Colorado. She sued, and in response, Griswold's attorney said the office, quote, did not deny the right to inspect a record and is not required to ask third parties to voluntarily disclose documents. They say requiring the office to call the consultant would be materially increase the burden. Wow. This is wild, folks. This might be the way we get Griswold. This might be a way, this is like a roundabout way. You know how Bernie Madoff, right? No, it wasn't Bernie Madoff. It was Bernie Madoff got in trouble for all that pyramid scheme stuff. But Al Capone, right? Al Capone. We knew he was the kingpin, right? He was the mafia kingpin, man. But they couldn't get him on any of the crimes that they knew were in his orbit, right? So what they get him on? They get him for tax evasion, right? They find circumventing ways to get these criminals behind bars. So maybe, just maybe, this could be a way that we see Griswold being held accountable for her terrible behavior and her corrupt Secretary of State control that she's been put Colorado under for so long. Yeah, so the Secretary of State's office declined to comment to CBS Colorado Sean Boyd on the case. Boyd also attempted to contact the founder of Sage River, but did not receive a response. Jenna Griswold is term limited Secretary of State and won the Democrat nomination for the Attorney General in Colorado, primary in June. So she's running for Attorney General, but she's also got this stain on her record. Not just this stain, but there are several others we're going to be pulling up here in just a second. But it's interesting to see that there is a Denver District Court judge, and they are basically telling, hey Griswold, you need to show up and you need to show these record requests because this is legal, this is lawful, and you got to do it. So let's see what happens come tomorrow, because they gave her until Thursday. Now, this, from what I'm reading, it reads like it's supposed to be tomorrow, Thursday, but maybe it is next Thursday. But we will see. We will see what happens come tomorrow. But this isn't all that Griswold's been held gotten in a little hot water for, right? Another article from CBS News. Colorado Secretary of State and AG candidate Jenna Griswold misleads voters about an outhouse and more. You don't say. Maybe it's because she's piling up shit so high, she had to, roundabout kind of deceive the people about this outhouse. Maybe. I don't know. Just maybe. 3 former Colorado Attorney Generals are weighing in on what it takes to be the state's chief legal officer. Oh, this was written a little old ago. This was written before the actual primary, but so Griswold is one of the 4 candidates. Let's try this. Griswold is one of the 4 candidates this month in the primary election to be vying for the Democrat nominee. She's already got the nominee, so that's old news. I grew up in a cabin with an outhouse outside on food stamps. That's what she said. Quote. That is what Griswold said. Griswold grew up in a cabin with an outhouse outside, and she lived on food stamps. Over the last 8 years, she's repeatedly talked about using an outhouse as a kid to take care of business. She also used it as a candidate to illustrate just how far she's come. Her campaign sent a picture of her posing beside the outhouse to prove that this outhouse is real. So it's so weird that this is a talking point for an Attorney General candidate. But so is the home's indoor plumbing, according to Larimer County records, which show a 1,250-gallon septic tank installed in 1990, 5 years before Griswold moved in. So she's a liar. I mean, she's lying about it. She's trying to make it sound like she was living a tough life and having to use an outhouse like she's a pioneer in the 1800s. Her campaign says she used the indoor and outhouse toilets because she often used a significant expense of a septic tank for plumbing. At no point did Secretary claim she didn't have indoor plumbing. It's all just a, lie by omission, right? A lie by omission. Her campaign, she says that she represented one of the clients at the law firm in family court before she was licensed to practice in D.C. That is the only client Griswold has ever represented in court. So she said that, let's backtrack here because it says something about this here. She says her first job in law school was a D.C. law firm where she was practicing international and anti-corruption law for 2 years. But according to a timeline provided by her campaign, Griswold was there for no more than 15 months. That includes the period before she passed the D.C. bar exam. She was there for just 5 months after learning. She was there just 5 months after earning her law license. Her campaign said she represented one of the clients at the law firm and family court before she was licensed to practice in D.C., and that's the only client Griswold has ever represented in court. There's also little information about the small business Griswold says she operated from 2015 to 2018 before becoming Secretary of State. After repeated inquiries, her campaign said it was a consulting firm with no employees and 6 clients over 3 years. Folks, she's a habitual liar. She's a habitual liar. She is not qualified for this job or for Attorney General. Griswold is grifting on this whole thing. She's riding all of the Democrat talking points, and she's trying to skate her way into Attorney General office. But her district supervisor at the time, Alan Salazar, says Lisa Carpenter oversaw her work, and Carpenter's recollection differs from Hickenlooper's. She didn't really do a lot of her job entailed to her, so she went above and beyond, and that was delivered for the state is widely inaccurate. Carpenter says Griswold is taking the credit for the hard work of others. Sounds par for the course for most Democrats here in Colorado and across the country. I'm gonna claim that I did some really tough and difficult things in my career, but I'm gonna be grifting off of everyone else who did it, not me. I didn't do the work, someone else did the work. That is Griswold, cut and dry. It's offensive to me and to the work that other people did. I mean, it was a really hard time in the governor's office, and to make it light or lie about something or to be untruthful about something so important to the state is pretty incredible to me. As secretary, Griswold apparently has also inflated her role by claiming, for example, that she argued before the U.S. Supreme Court to keep President Trump off the ballot when she didn't even credential to be appeared before the Supreme Court. Her campaign says that she worked on strategy and tactics with the AG's office, an office she now wants to run, after working at one law firm for roughly 1 year and representing one client in court for more than 14 years ago. Folks, this is not the person that we need to have in any capacity in Colorado's office, right? So this keeps going on. I'm not going to keep reading the whole thing, but it just goes to show you that Jenna Griswold is a habitual liar. She's a manipulator, and she's deceiving not just you, not just the people of Colorado, but her voters themselves. She's lying about her career, her track record. We need to expose this. We need to have conversations about this and let people know that Jenna Griswold is wildly incapable to operate the Attorney General position. She's wildly unqualified. Wildly unqualified. And let's keep it going. Let's keep going. We got one more, right? One more for you. From WesternSlopeNow.com. Bullying retaliation claims surface at Colorado Secretary of State's office. This broke just a few months back. But, yeah, this is updated on April 1st. But yes, several aides to Jenna Griswold came out and accused her of workplace harassment and bullying. A former top aide to Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold has accused the office of maintaining a toxic workplace. The claim surfaced as Griswold sought and narrowly secured the top ballot spot in the race of Attorney General. According to the former aide, employees within the Secretary of State's office faced a culture of bullying and were discouraged from speaking out due to fears of retaliation. A former aide alleged that employees of Secretary of State's office were abused, bullied, and discarded during their time on staff. The aide also claimed that a non-disclosure agreement served as a barrier for those wishing to come forward sooner. These agreements reportedly prevented staff from discussing specific incidents, dates, or examples of workplace issues. The release of these allegations occurred one day before the Democrat Party assembly in Pueblo on Saturday. At the event, Griswold narrowly secured the top spot in the ballot for the Attorney General race. Griswold campaign released a statement describing the timing of the accusations as last-minute smear effort. Oh, so it's okay. It's okay when Democrats do this nationwide on a national scale for not just Trump, not just his administration, not just his appointed staff, but every single down-ballot Republican nominee. It's okay for the Democrats to pull these last-minute campaign smear tactics, but as soon as it starts coming from the internals, as soon as people that actually worked with the Jenna Griswold campaign and other campaigns of Democrat campaigns across the country, as soon as they speak out, it's a smear tactic, and it's all false, right? It's all false. The campaign statement emphasized a continued focus on the election despite the allegations. Quote, political opponents pushed out these misleading and politically motivated attacks as the state assembly gavelled in a last-minute smear effort to Jenna off the ballot. They failed. We remain focused on earning support of Colorado voters and remaining committed to running a positive campaign. Folks, there were several aides for the Secretary of State's office that came out. I think there was like literally 7 different people accusing Jenna Griswold of workplace harassment and bullying and retaliation complaints. This is not the person that we need to have in any capacity in Colorado. She is not a qualified individual for Attorney General. She's a corrupt individual. She's been running corrupt elections. She passed laws, and she's been working with the legislation to consolidate power into the Secretary of State's office to make sure that only internal audits can be done for the Secretary of State's office when it comes to our elections. And when we're talking about elections, don't forget that there is still lots of efforts being done nationally in a campaign and in an effort to secure our elections. I know the SAVE Act is a huge conversation, a huge talking point, but understand that even though that there was a federal district judge that ruled against the DOJ's claims to unredacted voter data from Colorado Secretary of State's office, that is actually, I wouldn't say it's a non-issue, but there are several things happening from the election integrity angle on a federal level when it comes to all of these different things and focusing on our election system. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand that Jenna Griswold is an election integrity witch. She is the wicked witch of the election rigging West. She's an election rigging witch. She's one of the most terrible candidates, one of the most terrible individuals here in the Mile High State. She's been corrupt for a long time, very long time. Some people say that she's probably one of the worst. She could be one of the worst. That's what I hear anyways. But yeah, no, honestly, she is one of the worst people. And she's been a key component in the George Soros appointed individuals across the country to institute and corrupt and control our elections. So at the bottom here of the whitehouse.gov election integrity page, it says the DOJ and DHS election enforcement actions. The Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, working jointly with the Department of Homeland Security, maintains an ongoing records of nationwide enforcement actions to safeguard election integrity. This includes lawsuits against states for failure to produce voter rolls, investigations and prosecutions related to non-citizens of voting, and other measures under Executive Order 14248. To view the interactive state-by-state map, press releases and ways to report concerning the official page. How do we do that? We go to here. We go here. No, it's just the map. This is the map. Let's check it out. What do we got in Colorado? Let's take a look. Because this is really what it comes down to, folks. I do believe that all of the stuff affecting Jenna Griswold in the tertiary angles will come back to bite her in the election integrity angle, right? So as far as Colorado goes, DOJ ensures general election military ballots are sent early to comply with federal law. DOJ warns state officials that the criminal liability regarding illegal voting. That was not even a month ago. The DOJ notified state officials of their duty to prevent illegal voting. DOJ reminded them that it is a crime to intentionally allow ineligible persons to vote or conspire to interfere with another person's constitutional rights. That was July 7th, 2026. DOJ ensures primary election military ballots are sent early to comply with federal law. The DOJ sued Colorado for failing to provide federal election data. This is the only one that was I don't want to say it was overturned, but it was denied by the federal district court judge. So that was the only one, but there are several others, folks. We got more on the pipeline focusing on Colorado, folks, and they are focusing on Jenna Griswold, and I will do my damnedest to make sure that Jenna Griswold does not get the Attorney General seat, because she said it herself that she will work with the legislation to completely go against any sort of quote-unquote assault weapons. She will be targeting assault weapons as Attorney General. She will be going after the Second Amendment rights here in Colorado way harder than we've already seen Weiser go at it, way harder than we've already seen the state go at it. So we do not want Jenna Griswold becoming the Attorney General here, because she will be attacking our Second Amendment rights in Colorado. She will go outright buck wild when it comes to infringing on our Second Amendment rights. So be wary, be concerned, and make sure you let people know that Jenna Griswold is a criminal, and she is a manipulator, she is a liar, she is a deceiver, and she has no right to be our Attorney General. She is wildly unqualified. Make sure people know that, folks. Moving right along, because we got about 10 minutes before I got to get off this plane. But wrapping up, moving into the second part of this, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Be a part of the chain gang here on Break the Chains Media. You want to be a chain breaker. I want you to be a chain breaker. So smash that thumbs up button and share this video. Subscribe to this channel. Do all the things. Comment, say hello, be about it. Curveball, what do you got? Griswold was a defendant in the case to get Trump off the ballot. A defendant who might have been a collusion with the plaintiffs. I agree. Absolutely. No, she was working hand in hand to do everything she could to get Trump off the ballot. But moving on here, we got the other bit here. Colorado NRA chapter seeks an injunction against new gun training law. Yeah, folks. While I'm going to say it like this, I support the NRA's effort, I support the CSA's effort, and I support any lawsuit that goes against our Second Amendment rights here in Colorado, because we all know that the gun laws here in Colorado are wildly unconstitutional. They were passing this on partisan strengths. They only passed the SB3 by 3 votes. It was only a 3-vote majority win to get that in through the Senate and get that onto the governor's desk. So we were very close to killing SB3. Dr. Dighead says, I have a rule, never vote for women. And sir, I didn't mean to laugh. We're not laughing. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button on my blast beat. Sir, I have a rule. We never vote for women. I'm going to give you a round of applause. Round of applause. Never vote for women because they are too emotional and they do not quite see things logically and effectively. I do agree with you, Dr. Dighead. Let's go. Yeah. No. Gandalf actually has something to say to Jenna Griswold, actually. So.
You shall not pass!
Yeah. I agree with Gandalf. She shall not pass. She shall not collect go. She shall not collect $200. She shall not pass go, right? Let's go. Anyways, moving on. Yes, while I agree that these lawsuits against SB3 and against the infringements of our Second Amendment rights are good, we have to obviously rally support behind them. But we do not want to see injunctions against the law. We want to see a complete repeal of these laws, because these laws are unconstitutional. And understand that the big linchpin, in my opinion, to the SB3 is this may issue provision by the sheriffs and by the different counties operating. Because the may issue is basically saying, as a sheriff, I'm going to go through your record, I'm going to see who you are, but, if I don't want to give you if I don't want to, green light your right to own a gun, that's within my provision under the SB3. So I may or may not grant you your Second Amendment rights, which I believe is a huge infringement. And it is not up to the sheriff's department to tell us whether we can or cannot own said firearms, right? Not to mention all the courses you have to take and all the fees and administrative costs that have to go into it, and the Colorado Parks and Wildlife that has to now offer courses and training and all these things, and you have to pass their test 90% or better, right? It's all a pay-to-play scheme. try to get more money, and then try to have us self-register ourselves. Not just, excuse me, not just self-registering ourselves for the background check, but self-registering the firearm in which we purchase as well. This creates a gun registry that links a firearm to your name through the CPW database, and it is absolutely unconstitutional. And I do believe that we do not just want to see an injunction, we want to see an entire repeal. So let's keep reading here. Colorado chapter of the The Colorado chapter of the National Rifle Association is seeking an injunction to stop the state from enforcing a new law that took effect earlier this month. The measure requires anyone buying or selling a certain firearm to complete a safety training course offered through the Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Under Senate Bill 3, the course is mandatory for anyone planning to purchase a semi-automatic rifle, shotgun, or handgun with a detachable magazine. Excuse me, I have hiccups. I have hiccups now. Colorado State Shooting Association filed a lawsuit last September challenging the law's constitutionality, arguing in place, quote, unlawful burdens on the rights of law-abiding Coloradans. A government that makes you ask permission to buy a firearm isn't protecting your rights, it's trampling them, said Ray Elliott, the group's president. We believe the courts will see this law for what it is, a blatant infringement of our Second Amendment freedoms. The suit was filed in the U.S. District Court by the Mountain States Legal Foundation on behalf of CSSA and 6 individual plaintiffs who claim to be directly affected by this law. Now, the law has gone into effect. CSSA is seeking a preliminary injunction to halt the enforcement until the lawsuit is resolved. Until the lawsuit is resolved. Which, like I said, an injunction isn't bad, but we have to understand that the injunction doesn't stop the law. The injunction just pauses the process until the courts make a decision or a ruling, right? So we don't just want an injunction, we want an outright repeal. So yes, it will buy gun owners time, it will buy individuals time. And in addition to that, an interesting argument is that CSSA, anyone who's associated with CSSA would be an aggrieved party. So if you are associated with the NRA or associated with CSSA, you would be considered an aggrieved party in these cases. But we don't just want these individuals to be the aggrieved party. We want every single person in Colorado to be an aggrieved party. So that's why we have to look at it from a bigger perspective, a bigger picture, and say, no. We want to make sure that our rights are preserved. Our Second Amendment rights are preserved. And we need an outright repeal of this law, right? Colorado assault weapons lawsuit files as SCOTUS steps in, right? This is from concealedcarry.com. Colorado gun laws are suddenly getting a hit from 2 directions at once. The Firearm Policy Coalition and the Colorado State Shooting Association filed a new lawsuit. This is the same lawsuit that we were talking about earlier. But yes, Elliott v. Denver landed in U.S. District Court in the District of Colorado on June 30th. The DOJ got there first. So the DOJ might be the prevailing wind that is actually going to be benefiting the entire state of Colorado, right? The DOJ got there first. If this feels familiar, it should. Back in May, the Department of Justice filed its own back-to-back lawsuits. Remember these, folks? Going against not just Denver, but the entire state of Colorado. United States v. Denver, the assault weapons ordinance, and the United States v. Colorado, the state magazine ban. The interesting part is that the DOJ isn't running the same legal theory. Instead of private citizens asserting their own rights, which is what CSSA is doing, the federal government sued under 34 U.S.C. 12601, the, quote, pattern or practice statute normally aimed at police misconduct. That's an aggressive, unusual move. And it means that Denver and Colorado are now defending these bans against the executive branch and a private plaintiff coalition at the same time. CSSA's leadership said the overlap was no coincidence and that it's hard to read it any other way. Folks, we are at a precipice here in Colorado when it comes to not just our Second Amendment rights, but our voting rights, but our ability to travel, our ability of private property. There's so many different things happening in Colorado right now, and it's you gotta be aware of all of it, right? But yes, so what it means if you carry in Colorado. So none of this changes the law today. The Denver rifle ban and Colorado magazine, 15-round magazine ban are still limiting on the books and still enforceable while these cases work through the courts. What's changed is that the pressure. Now you got a private coalition and the federal government and the Supreme Court all circling the same category of laws in the same narrow window. That's worth watching closely, but it isn't a reason to get ahead of what's actually illegal right now. If you own or carry in Colorado, the smart move is knowing exactly where the current lines sit between any of this shakes out. Understand that if you go to Denver, it's required concealed carry. Understand in Denver, it is not open carry. There are parts of Colorado that you can open carry. We are a castle doctrine state. However, Denver in particular, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of laws, there's a lot of rules, and understand that our legal and judicial branches of Colorado government will not see it in a 2A friendly lens, right? If you defend yourself, if you brandish your weapons, if you do some of these things that would typically fall under self-defense, you have to understand that the machine is absolutely against you when it comes to owning a firearm and protecting yourself in Colorado and specifically in Denver. So be wary, be careful, know your rights, and understand what you can and cannot do in your jurisdictions, in your respective jurisdictions. And I just want to wrap up here really quick. But folks, I've got this PDF here from the Colorado Department of Revenue from SB 25-003, specified semi-automatic firearm guidance. These are all of the guns. These are all the firearms that are now behind lock and key without able to purchase. You will not be able to purchase any of these firearms under SB3 unless you take the courses, you pay the fees, you pay the penalties, you pass the test, you get approval through your sheriff, you jump through all the hoops, you do the background registry and all the other stuff. So I just want to show you, I just want to just very quickly, right? So obviously we got a couple here, but folks, this is 146 pages. This PDF is 146 pages, folks. We can just keep scrolling for days. These are all the guns that you are no longer able to purchase at any FFL dealership without taking the courses, without getting approval through your sheriff, without taking a background check and registering the firearm, without passing the 90% or better test through Parks and Wildlife, without taking the 12-hour course or a 4-hour course if you have a hunter safety permit. Oh, look at this sweet girl. Come on, the PS90. We can't even get that anymore. Folks, this is what we're up against. This is what's been outlawed. And I'm just, dude, you can just keep going. Look at this. All of these. Thousand. Dude, so many. This is sickening. And all of these are guns that you are no longer able to purchase thanks to Senate Bill 003. Senate Bill 003 has outlawed all of these. Granted, if you own any of these firearms, you're grandfathered in. You still have them. You don't have to go back and do anything with them. But if you own any of these now, you're in a special class because we're the ones that actually took our due diligence and got what we needed to get before the law went into effect. But now, the law's into effect, so you can't get any of them. Can't get any of these guns now unless you go through all the government bureaucracy and all the hoops that they want to do to infringe on our Second Amendment rights, folks. But I just wanted to wrap up with that. This is a sad day, but we have to stay vigilant, folks. We have to keep the pressure on, right? We have to keep the pressure on, and we have to make sure that Colorado knows that 2A is our right. We have a right to all of these firearms. We are well trained. Anyone who joins the 2A community, anyone who's a part of the 2A community, we actually hold ourselves to higher standards. We don't need the government to tell us what kind of standards that we need to do. We have to stand up. We have to understand we are safe and effective and very responsible gun owners when it comes to owning our firearms. So the state doesn't have a right to tell us what we can and cannot do. So we have to stand up. We have to hope that these multiple different lawsuits and the courts and the Supreme Court and all these, the DOJ, all these things weigh against them and the state and rule out in our favor. So let's Let's make sure that we understand that. Let's make sure we stay vigilant to the truth and to the understanding of what's happening here. But folks, that is wrapping up our Break the Chains Media We Are Change Wednesday live stream. I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much. Dr. Dighead, I know what you're doing there. I know how you're saying it there. You need to repeal the Gun Control Act of 1968 too. I agree with that. I remember watching representatives play on their phones during the debate of this bill. Absolutely. They don't care. They don't care. They'll just continue doing whatever they want to do because they know what they want and they know how they want to infringe on our rights. But yes, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all so much. Let's see if we can raid anyone who's live right now. I guess we'll go over the Beanie Compound. We'll just default to the Beanie Compound because that's just the easiest thing to do because I have to get in the car and get out of here. But folks, without any further ado, I do appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Keep your eyes peeled for another live stream. Keep your eyes peeled for more breaking information coming from Break the Chains Media. Smash the thumbs up button. Share this live stream with all your friends and family in Colorado and across the country to get a little bit more understanding on what's actually happening here and in your local communities. Because we got to be active. We got to be vocal. We got to speak out against these steps. We got to speak out against corruptions like Jenna Griswold, about the lying and deceiving nature of that criminal. We also have to talk about the unconstitutional gun laws and all the other unconstitutional laws that they're trying to pass and shove down our throats and make it harder to live in Colorado. But without further ado, thank you so much. And as always, fight for freedom and never give